Hello and welcome to Stitching Journal Club episode 8. My name is Beatrice and this is where I talk about cross stitch and any sciencey goodness I find for the week. Thank you for everyone who wanted to see a sticker video. There are a few of you and it is coming. I needed to get a horizontal thingy for my tripod so I could film looking down. So when I get that set up, I will film the video and hopefully it'll be up very soon. Next, I wanted to talk about Halloween stitching. It's October, so that means a lot of Flosstubers are doing their Halloween project parades, and I'm loving all of them that I see. I won't be doing one here just because I stitch Halloween all year long. I don't need the excuse of it being October to do it, so you'll be seeing Halloween themed projects here throughout the year. I think if I categorized all of my patterns that I have, my top two categories will be samplers and Halloween, and even better if it's a Halloween sampler. So October is not special in that for me. I don't really do any seasonal stitching or other holiday stitching. I don't have any Christmas patterns or Thanksgiving or 4th of July or any of that stuff. So it is what it is, I guess. But those of you who are doing them, keep doing them. I watch all of the ones that I come across and I love them. I've put a bunch of patterns on my wish list. So yeah. All right, that's out of the way. Let's get to what I've been stitching on. First is Ornate Halloween Sampler from Witchy Stitcher. I finally finished it. It turned out so well. So this is 20 count Ada. I think the color is called Purple Passion. And the colors I used were 939 and 154. I really like the little skeletons and like the skeleton pumpkins. In the end, I decided not to do like all the, around the pumpkin, there are all these confettis. I decided not to do them. Instead, I stitched the year at the bottom. And I think it looks good. So there's that. It's all nice and ironed and ready to do something with. Oh, let me tell you about ironing this. Well, it's not really about ironing this. So I was thinking what I was going to do with this once it was done, and I decided to iron it. But I didn't have an ironing board. It got broke or lost during one of my moves, and I haven't had it for a while. And I had been getting along with like a woolen pressing mat, but I decided that I wanted a full-size one. And I went to the store, and they were completely out of ironing boards. They had like those little dinky tabletop ones, but no, I wanted a regular sized one. So I went to all the stores in my area and there are none to be found. Nowhere. I went to all the places I could think of that would normally have them. Some of them that I wouldn't have thought of. Nothing. I ended up having to buy one online for a lot more than I was expecting. The last ironing board I bought was less than $20. It was like 20 bucks. And the one I have now was more expensive than that, I'll just say. And I don't know, I assume it's one of those COVID shortages, but ironing boards was not what I expected to be out of. Have any of you come across anything like that? Ironing boards or just something you did not expect to not be available? And let me know. I am really curious about that. So anyway, tangent over. The next thing I stitched on was this. It's called Quaker Autumnal, I think, by Laureline Broderie. It's a French designer. And I had seen this project years ago, near when I first started cross-stitching, on Pinterest. It was a finished model. And it was in another language. And so I couldn't find out where it was, where it came from. And I was really sad because I wanted to stitch this. And so I gave up looking until last week. I was watching a Flosstube in Spanish, and the lady had a book, and this designer had some patterns in that book that was really cute. So I went to the designer's website and scrolled, and there it was. I was so happy. I was like, what? I literally said that out loud. So I downloaded it, and here it is. The pattern is charted with browns, greens, and yellows. A really springy palette. But I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not really my aesthetic. So I decided to change the colors to these. I don't have in front of me which colors I used. But if you're interested, let me know. I decided to start this right away just to see how these colors played well together, if these colors played well together. And I think they do. I think this pattern is gonna turn out really nice. I don't speak Spanish, but, well, beyond basic things, but I like to watch Flosstubes in other languages as they come across my feed, because even though I can't understand what they're saying, I often will see patterns that I never see in English speaking Flosstubes, and I find some good stuff that way. So top tip, watch Flosstubes in other languages. So yeah, that is Quaker by Laureline Broderie. All right, next, the last thing I worked on was this little guy. It is Sleepy Hollow Sampler by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It's another Halloween sampler, so you know, I can't resist. And it's a tiny pattern. Like, this is about as, this is as wide as it gets, and it packs a lot into this little tiny sampler. So I've got the moon done, a couple of clouds. I started on the pumpkin head guy. I love the little house and the little kitty in there. And so the alphabet, historically, I haven't been keen on stitching alphabets, but this one is really cute. There are some that are really cute, and I'm gonna go ahead and stitch the whole thing rather than cutting it off just for the scene. But yeah, Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery is a company I've come across before, and I avoided them because their models are, when they stitch up their models, the person doing the model stitching likes very thick coverage, like very, very puffy stitches. And I tend to, I don't know if I can get close enough. I like it when I can see the X. And so I just sort of passed them by and was like, that's cute. And then went on my merry way. But decided to give it a try just because I thought this pattern was so cute. And also I didn't know this when I bought it, but it's charted in, these are Cosmo threads from Japan, and I was very interested to try those. I have some of the variegateds, a couple of those sets, but I haven't stitched anything in them yet. So I was really interested to see how they stitch up, and you know, so far so good. I like it. Bleh, tongue-tied. I like them a lot. So yeah, those are my 3 projects that I've been stitching on. Right, so I wanted to mention this so you guys can give me some accountability. I have decided to do a pattern buying, not freeze, but a cool down. I don't know about you, but I have been buying patterns lately as if I have all the time in the world to stitch them. Like I don't have a job or an elderly dog to take care of, or, you know, or that I don't need to feed myself periodically. And so I have a lot of patterns, and when I do my pattern organizing video, I have plans to do that in the future. You will see how many I have. It's a lot, and I think I need this time to just sort of cool down and appreciate what I have and not be like a dragon hoarding patterns. So keep me accountable, tell me not to buy things, and I would really appreciate that. All right. Last thing that I wanted to talk about was I have been the past couple of weeks timing myself cross stitching. It's been very interesting. So I don't give myself like big chunks of time to stitch. I will get up, sit down, and get up and sit down all throughout the day. So doing that, it's really hard to know exactly how much time I spend stitching. So I got a little timer that's right next to my stitchy spot, and I just, start it every time I sit down to stitch. So I put all of my times for this past couple of weeks into a little graph. So it'll be on the screen here somewhere. And as you can see, it's quite interesting. Like some days I got no stitching done at all. Some days I got a lot done. Some days I could only do 15 minutes before bed. And I'm really interested to see how my graph changes throughout the year. I probably won't do updates on every video, but maybe at the end of the year, I'll have a nice big data graph to show off. Do any of you time yourself stitching? I know a lot of people count their stitches either on using an app or using Pattern Keeper or whatever, or just like knowing how many stitches are in a block. I can't be bothered counting individual stitches. And I don't use a tablet. I prefer paper patterns. So this is sort of my compromise to try to get myself some stitchy data. So yeah, let me know if you track your stitching in any way and how you do that. I'm very interested to get to know what other people do. So yeah, that is that. Today's journal club is about the possible earliest evidence of bipedal locomotion in hominins, about 7 million years ago. The hominin in question is Sahelanthropus tchadensis and was identified from a near-complete cranium, some mandibles, and teeth from at least 5 individuals, which is pretty good actually. You can identify a lot from a species from its cranium and mandible. Anyway, in 2001, researchers found an additional femur and 2 ulna at the same site, which they identified as coming from S. tchadensis. And I'll get back to that in a minute, but keep that in mind. Comparing these bones to that of other extinct hominins, as well as modern humans and apes, and extinct apes as well, I guess, the research team concluded that these hominins exhibited habitual bipedality with significant arboreal behavior, which basically means that they got around mainly on their 2 feet, but they still spent some time in the trees getting around. This is significant because one of the key evolutionary steps on the way to humans was evolving bipedality. And this find would set the clock back on that trait evolving about 1 million years, which is really crazy, actually. However, this find comes with a caveat. The authors note, and to give them credit, they were right up front about this, that the bones they found were moved before being documented properly in situ. They broke the cardinal rule of archaeology and paleontology, which is you describe where you record where the find is in the ground before you do anything, before you even think about moving it. You take pictures, you describe the weather, you describe what's around it, you record longitude and latitude, although I think a lot of modern cameras have that metadata built in, but you do all of that before you even consider moving it, and these bones were moved before anyone did that, or it wasn't done properly. So there's no way to tell that these bones, the femur and 2 ulna, come from S. tchadensis. to be fair, there were no other large hominins or primates found at that site. There hasn't been to this day. So, I mean, we're 80% confident that it comes from the same species, but there's no way to tell for sure. So until more conclusive evidence is found, this find necessarily has an asterisk on it. But whatever whatever it ends up being, this is a really significant find. So yeah, that is today's journal club. And today's recommendation is a YouTuber this time called Puzzling Beats. The lady Catherine, she puts together jigsaw puzzles and time lapses, but she also makes her own music and sometimes adds a little animation to the time lapses. I think it's delightful. I really like finding on YouTube people who are just having fun and doing what they love. And this is one of those channels. So check her out. Give her a follow if jigsaw puzzling or her music is of any interest to you. And I will see you next time.